Among the personalities credited with efforts to protect China's wildlife, one stands out. The 2002 Wildlife Photographer of the Year, Zhinong. CGTN's Tao Yuan tells us the story of one of China's foremost nature photographers and how she's works have helped save animals on the brink of extinction.
When Zhinong decided to become a nature photographer, that field of photography was unheard of in China. He didn't make it to college and took on a gig in a movie set.
I was 19 years old, and I worked as a production assistant.
The movie was about birds, and Xi didn't like the way they were filmed.
They caught the birds and tied their legs to the branches to film them.
So Xi left the set, determined to film wildlife his own way. From there, an illustrious career. He's the only Chinese photographer to become a member of the prestigious International League of Conservation Photographers and a winner of Wildlife Photographer of the Year. But before the accolades was years of advocacy. One of his earliest pursuits was the snub-nosed monkey, native to his home province of Yunnan in southwest China. At the time, they were little known to the public and rarer than the giant panda.
To me, they're the king of the Yunnan animal kingdom. I feel they're so royal. I don't know if this is the right word.
Xi was like a man possessed. A young publicity officer with the local forestry department, he spent his days chasing monkeys on the Yunnan highlands. Reels of footage he took were the first time the animals were recorded on camera. Xi still remembers it as one of the most precious moments of his career.
I spent 3 years and only saw them twice. I didn't even bring the tripod because it was an unexpected encounter. How could I not be nervous? That's why the footage is so shaky.
Not long after that encounter, Xi's career took a turn. In 1995, Yunnan province announced plans to cut down a forest that was home to hundreds of snub-nosed monkeys. Xi campaigned against it, even penning a letter to the state council. The forest was saved, but Xi lost his job.
I wrote the letter in my name for the bosses in charge. This was disobedience. So how could I have stayed? I was pressured to leave.
From that year on, Xi the photographer became Xi the environmental activist. He was one of the first in China to raise awareness on the reckless poaching of the Tibetan antelope.
Corpses were all over the place. All female antelopes were skinned for the wool. They gave me the gun, and I thought to myself, if I really see these poachers, should I shoot them with my camera or with my gun?
In over 2 decades, the number of Tibetan antelopes in China has quadrupled, from fewer than 70,000 in the 1990s to under 300,000 now. But the conflict between nature and profit is unrelenting. The monkeys Xi loved so much couldn't all keep their habitats. This one's home turned into a resort.
The monkey couldn't bear the loneliness. The owner of the resort provided all sorts of food, so he came to humans just for peanuts and bread. It was the closest I came to a wild monkey, but I felt no joy.
Now 57, Xi has been working to document the green peacock, whose habitat also in Yunnan is under threat from hydropower plants.
For those who don't know how to appreciate the beauty of nature, all he sees is a forest. As he calculates how many cubic meters of wood he can get, He sees the river and thinks how much electricity it can generate. It doesn't cross his mind the wildlife and indigenous people counting on this river to live.
Xi is determined to carry on.
我是大自然的一个崇拜者，对吧？
I'm a worshipper of nature, and I work hard to bridge the gap between nature and the human society. You see more and more young people devoting themselves to conservation work, more children showing more interest in nature. From the government level to the grassroots level, there's greater understanding of this. Our generation is destined to be a stepping stone.
A role he's perfectly happy with as long as change is on the way. 桃园 CGTN 云南